Hello and welcome to the Paige Doodle Club. I'm Mike Paige, and today we are going to be drawing a desert scene with some saguaro cacti, kind of like this. This is a piece that I just did for a friend of mine that converted a school bus into an RV. It's going to go on the front, and I figured since the idea of a desert is fresh in my mind, let's do it. So you're going to want to grab some drawing supplies, and let's get right into it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. The important thing is that you make your mark.
Park Street Books is proud to sponsor the Paige Doodle Club. Find them locally at 504 Main Street, Medfield, Mass. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or visit parkstreetbooks.com. No matter where you are, that's parkstreetbooks.com.
All right, the first thing I'm going to do on this desert scene is make some mountains. You might notice I'm actually using a pencil this time instead of pen. The reason for that is that usually when I'm doing mountains, I kind of like to use the side of the pencil a little bit to create shadows quickly and kind of get the idea of what I'm going for. So I'm going to kind of use the edge of the pencil for any shadow areas. And I might just go ahead and create some mountains first, and then we can add some shading. So I'm going to make some big mountains going across, trying to have them different heights. You want them roughly the same size, but obviously you don't want a perfect line that's just zigzags. I'm also making some, almost like if, you know, how kids draw lightning. You kind of go up, go back down, go up, go back down. And they can come at different angles. They don't all have to be 45-degree angle or anything like that. So we're creating something a little bit like this. And I might put a little bit of a valley near the middle. And then we'll have more coming up this way. So right now I'm kind of using the tip of the pencil. When I go in to do some shading, I'm going to switch more towards the side. This is kind of based on the Arizona desert. I think it's pronounced the Sonoran Desert, but it might be Sonoran. If you are from the Arizona area, you probably think I'm an idiot for not knowing that. But as somebody that lives in Massachusetts, I know that it's pronounced Worcester, and I know that it's pronounced Haverhill, and you might trip on those. So we're all experts in the area that we are, and that's fine. But yeah, so this is the Sonoran Desert, I believe. Again, apologies if I'm completely off base on that pronunciation. So because this is in Arizona, I'm going to make some saguaro cacti. That's another word that I was leery of the pronunciation. I had to double check that it is saguaro. It's spelled like it would be saguaro, but it is actually pronounced saguaro. So with these mountains, I'm doing quick little scribble shading. Obviously, my sunlight is kind of coming this direction, so it's casting shadows towards the left side of my mountains. And I'm going to make them a little darker so you can see it a bit better. If you're using pen or marker today, that's totally fine. I'm only using pencil this time because it's a little quicker to fill in large chunks with the side of this pencil. And I don't typically work with pencil on this show, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to do so. All right, so we've got some scribble shadows. We can make a few little spots like that. Now, I showed at the beginning the piece that I made for a friend of mine on wood. That piece took a long time. This is a quick version. So this is also kind of a good opportunity to see, like, what is, I don't know how long we've been doing this, 4 or 5 minutes, and then this is several hours of work. Now this mostly took longer because it's burned. So I used a wood burning pen on the wood after I had sketched everything out. But again, it's like, how much time do you want to put in to your work? And you can do a quick version of things. You can really take a long time and put in every last detail. It's kind of what look you're going for, I guess. On that one, I wanted to take my time and make sure I had everything right. I might add a few more little like crevices coming down the mountain. Now we're going to start making some cacti. To do the ones way off in the distance, we're going to want to remember to keep them pretty small and also pretty vertical. So I'm not going to draw a cactus growing totally crooked. I'm going to try to keep it pretty much straight up and down. And these ones in the background are going to be pretty skinny. And then as we make the arms that come off, of course the cliche one is going to have 2 arms. So we'll make a cliche one first. The the cactus that you see in the cartoons always looks like this. But what I learned in my research before I did the sign for the bus, and then we're going to make a shadow. And again, the light hitting these mountains is coming from sort of the right side of the paper, so I want my cactus to also have a shadow that matches that. But so what I learned about saguaro is that they can take 50 to 75 years before one arm grows out. And they'll usually live, they can live 200 to 400 years, but they are very slow growers because they are in the desert. So there are plenty of cacti out there that just look like that. And some of them will have just a little arm growing off. And for every cactus that you draw, make sure you remember to add in a little shadow. Then we can start making some that are a little bit closer, that will be a little bit bigger and a little bit wider. And then the other thing to remember is not all of the arms come straight out and up like I just drew. Some of them kind of kick out to the side because even nature makes mistakes. I'm always telling you guys, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Nature does it all the time. There's no right way for a cactus to grow. This is what we want it to do. That's not what it always does. And then like 4-leaf clovers, people think that's lucky. That's just a mistake that nature made. So mistakes aren't always a bad thing. Again, I'm trying to vary how I draw them. They're not all going to be identical. Sometimes they'll also have a start of one up near the top, and those will be a little bit smaller. So I'll go ahead and put one way up here. Sometimes they'll have an arm that's coming out towards you, so that's going to look different. And as you go, you just kind of want to be thinking of it as almost like you're drawing a soda can. So it's like slightly rounded at the bottom. But just remember that the thing that you're drawing is three-dimensional, not flat. And then this one and this one, since I made them a little bit lighter, I'm going to go ahead and put a shadow, heavier shadow towards the left. Hopefully you're learning something from this episode. Whether it's to use the side of your pencil on the shading on the mountains, or whether it's that you learned that it's pronounced Saguaro. That's what I learned today. I confirmed that yes, it really is pronounced Saguaro. I was unsure of that. As somebody that has never traveled all the way out west, I guess I never really had a reason to learn it. But traveling west is on my to-do list at some point. Just haven't gotten there yet. But I do remember having to learn in school, like the difference between a butte and a mesa and a plateau. I have never used any of those facts. But I had to learn it in school. That's one of those things that the teachers make it seem like it's really important, and then you get out to the real world and it's like, where are all the buttes? Why did I learn this? They're out there. Lots of buttes and mesas. When I was a kid, there was a cartoon show called Cowboys of Moo Mesa, and it was they were literal cows. They were cows. They were cowboys. It was not a good show. It was a cartoon. I still watched it. It wasn't good. It was one of those shows that you put it on and you're like, well, I just lost 8 minutes of my life, or however long each episode was. Not a good show. If you have a show like that, I would love to hear what it is. That show, whether it was when you were a kid or now. Some people have those shows still, where they can't help themselves. They're like, well, it's on. Guess I'm watching it. This cactus is going to kind of go off the page. Also, if you're a kid and you just heard that about Cowboys of Moo Mesa and you're like, that sounds awesome. They're cows wearing human clothes and cowboy hats, and they're cowboys. It sounds cool. It wasn't really. You didn't miss out. You don't have to look it up on YouTube or anything. Not really that good of a cartoon. So this one I'm going to have go off the page so that this cactus looks like it's close to you. It's close enough that it doesn't quite fit the frame of the picture that we're drawing. And again, you're just kind of changing the way you draw each one. Maybe this one has one of these arms that's kicked out at more of an angle. But just like the mountains, there's not really a right way to draw a cactus. I'm sure, you know, as you're doing them, you might draw one and go, well, that's not it. So you might find a wrong way to do it, where you make a mistake, but that's fine. You'll learn from that. And the next cactus that you draw, you'll make it a little bit better. But the nice thing when you're drawing things in nature is you can get pretty good at drawing things while you actually are still kind of making mistakes. Because like I said earlier, nature is full of mistakes. Everybody kind of thinks that there's perfection out there, but even when you visit the most perfect place, you might find a four-leaf clover or something that tells you, nope, nature is still slipping up. And that's cool. These closer ones, I'm also going to do some of the lines on the cactus. The ones further away don't really need it, but as we start getting closer and lighter, you can make some lines. They don't really need to go perfectly parallel or perfectly straight up and down. They just need to more or less match the cactus that you're drawing. And your desert could have as many or as few saguaros as you would like. Notice how I said saguaros. I said that so I would avoid cactus versus cacti. Sometimes it's easier to say the thing that you know is right. All right, so we'll put in one more here with a little stumpy arm starting to grow out here. I was really floored when I learned that it could take 50 or 75 years before one of these even starts to grow arms. That's crazy. I guess it should make sense. They live in the desert, so they're going to grow fairly slow, but I read a book a few years ago. A saguaro is essentially the desert's version of a tree. And I read a book a few years ago called, I think it's called The Hidden Life of Trees or The Secret Life of Trees. Fascinating book about all of the cool science behind trees and how they communicate with each other through their root systems and stuff. It's really neat. But that book talked about something similar to the cactus not growing arms right away. And that was that trees in a large forest can wait for hundreds of years, because it seems like forever to us. But if you're an oak tree in a forest, 200 years isn't all that long in your lifespan. And sometimes they're just waiting for a break in the forest so that they have enough light to grow, and all of a sudden they trigger that gene that tells them to grow, and they take off, which is pretty cool. I apologize if that story didn't really make sense. Sometimes it's really hard to tell a story while you're drawing. I know I struggle with it. All right. I suppose you could add some little birds if you wanted. I might make a few, again, using kind of the side of the pencil, just lines here and there on the ground to break it up a bit more and suggest more of an environment than what was already there. Guess you could add birds and stuff. I'm not sure what kind of birds you would be seeing in the sky here, so I'm not adding any. If you're more familiar with desert life, please knock yourself out. Add whatever else you would like. We can add some of those little cacti. Where do I want to put it? Maybe over here. One of those little round guys. I don't know what these are called. I just know they look kind of like this, almost like a pin cushion. And drawing it would be, I guess, kind of similar to drawing a watermelon. So it's got little stripes on a ball. And then we're going to add the shadow on the side. I believe sometimes these get little flowers on top. Maybe I'll add that. And there you go. There is your desert scene. I hope you enjoyed following along. Tune in again next time when we will be drawing a Bellamy eagle. So don't forget to tune in next week for that. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
Park Street Books is proud to sponsor the Paige Doodle Club. Park Street Books is an independent children's book and toy store. With nothing electronic in the store, Park Street Books encourages kids to read, play, and unplug. Find them locally at 504 Main Street, Medfield, Mass. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or visit parkstreetbooks.com no matter where you are. That's parkstreetbooks.com.